How's it going, guys? I'm Jared and welcome back to Avalanche Reviews. Now, if you get into role-playing games even half as much as me, chances are you're used to feeling a little left out when it comes to Japanese releases. Every year it seems like half the great role-playing games never make it out of Japan. As RPG fans, we're used to getting the short end of the stick, but never have I seen a game receive so much press and so much hype just to remain a Japan-only title. I remember being outraged with the news that Final Fantasy Type-0 would not be coming to America, and apparently, I'm not the only one who was a little upset. ROM hacking teams Skyblade Cloud and Doomtrain have done us all a favor by concocting a full fan translation for the game. Now, with the official HD version looming overhead with a possible release here in the States, some would see this as a wasted effort, but I'm an impatient soul, so it's thanks to these hardworking fans that today we take a look at one insanely ambitious portable RPG. Type-0 takes place in Orience, a world that's been divided into 4 nations, each one housing a powerful crystal that serves as the source of magic for their respective kingdoms. These 4 empires have maintained a worldwide peace treaty that could be described as shaky at best. In the game's outset, this treaty is shattered when the kingdom of Milites wages an all-out attack on Rubrum. You play as a team of 14 members in Rubrum's magic academy, the Peristilium Suzaku. Thanks to their ability to use magic without the aid of the crystal and elite fighting prowess, your group is known as Class 0. From here on out, it's total war as the Milites Empire continues a deadly march towards their own secret ends. For a portable title, Type-0 has a shitload of story to offer, and I'm not afraid to admit that I have yet to beat it. Currently I'm at 40 hours, and this game is showing no signs of slowing down yet. That being said, what's here may not please every Final Fantasy fan. If I had to compare it to another title in the series, I would say that it's comparable to Final Fantasy XI with its complex politics and more serious tone. As a matter of fact, this has been one of the most dark chapters in Final Fantasy yet. All of the themes common to the series like death, conspiracy, and betrayal are here, but dealt with in a more mature manner that makes things feel a little less fantastical. One instance that stands out in my mind is the fact that using the crystal's magic causes everyone to forget the dead as soon as they expire. To combat this, the Academy makes all students wear dog tags to let the world know they ever existed. With subject matter like this, Type-0 has made a lasting impression on me. As a fan of political-themed dramas, twisting narratives, and the extreme use of complicated acronyms, Type-0's story really speaks to me. But even if these things are likely to turn you away, the dark tone and mature method it's handled in is sure to keep you coming back for more. Type-0's gameplay, just like its story, is damn near impossible to briefly summarize. There's just so much here to discuss. Speaking of which, this is probably a good time to address the fact that there are 14 separate party members to choose from. No palette swaps or throwaway cookie cutters, just 14 completely unique characters. Each one with their own weapons, personalities, and most importantly, wildly different playstyles. On the battlefield, you'll find that each one of these guys has his or her own feel and control style, and no matter who you are, chances are you'll find a team that feels just right for you. Type-0 takes a more action RPG approach to its fights, and at first I was a little disappointed, but I'm happy to say that Square's managed to craft a damn good fighting engine. In fights, you control one character out of your 3-person party at a time. Running around, attacking, and dodging all feels smooth and show the game's fighting mechanics got just as much attention as everything else. All of your actions are mapped to the PSP's face buttons. Other than your character's normal attack, you'll also have magic spells and special attacks that are unique to each character. While leveling up, you'll earn several of these, and if you want to make it out of the game's tougher fights, you'll learn to equip them based on how well they work with their special attacks of the rest of the party. For example, combining a special that'll suck enemies into one spot and a spell that has a large area of effect. You're also given the ability to swap between any of your 3 party members at will during a fight. This mechanic, oddly enough, replaces the need for Phoenix Downs. If any of your characters fall in a fight, you can instantly replace them with anyone in your 14-person roster. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably worried that this will make the game a little too easy, but believe me, once you've gotten used to your party's playstyle, using a different character can definitely be an encumbrance. Aside from combat, this game is jam-packed with content. Your characters are students at the Rubrum Academy, and as such, these facilities become a main hub for you. You're given a time limit until having to embark on each mission, and you can spend this time talking to other students, mating and racing chocobos, leveling up magic spells, buying equipment, or completing side quests for the staff. As you can see, there's no shortage of things to do in Type-0. Whether you want to stick to the story missions or just explore the world map for secrets, you'll find enough content here to keep you playing well past the 50-hour mark. If there's one thing that saddens me about Sony, it's that they don't know how to market their portable consoles. The PSP was a tiny powerhouse capable of some amazing looking games, and Type-0 takes full advantage of everything the PSP is capable of. 3D models in the game look great and animate extremely well in battle, as well as showing a boatload of detail, which is no small feat when you see how many people and enemies can be shown on the screen at once. That being said, I have experienced a tiny amount of slowdown, but only twice, and it seems to only exist in one room in the academy. While it may not be a graphical feature, I do have a bone to pick with the game's camera. While running around in towns or dungeons, it operates fine, but when you're locked onto an enemy in battle, the camera tries its damnedest to hinder you by zooming in too far and obscuring the action. In no way was this on a game-breaking level, and to be honest, it only happened every once in a while, but it was bothersome nonetheless. When venturing out on the world map, fans of the PlayStation Final Fantasies will be right at home. Everything has a nice scale to it and makes the world of Orience feel vast and enticing. There is one problem with it though. When exploring the world, the game will randomly change the weather. Now normally this would be kinda cool, but sometimes the game loads in a ridiculous amount of fog. When this happens, it's almost impossible to see where you're going, but the worst part is that the fog follows you into battle. With a fast-paced fighting engine like this, obscuring fog can mean more than a few cheap hits. Needless to say, this was annoying. The good news is that the fog is random and is typically not present. In a game as large as Type-0, one would expect the game's graphics to take a pretty big hit, but I have to admit that this title really surprised me. Graphically, Type-0 is a shining example of how much potential was locked away in Sony's first portable, and even with its annoying little flaws, manages to be impressive and wonderful to look at. Alright guys, I think it's obvious how I feel about this game, but let's break down the pros and cons to see if it's right for you. First and foremost, this is one great looking portable game that shows what the PSP was truly capable of. Chances are you'll spend a majority of your time fighting in the game, and luckily these fights feel exciting and make leveling up more fun than chore. Fans of complex stories and twisting narratives will praise Square for going all out on this one. With a length that stretches well over the 50-hour mark, you'll find a console-sized RPG packed in this tiny little UMD. Before you go out and buy yourself a copy of Type-0, remember, this is a Japan-only game. You're gonna need a PSP running custom firmware or a PSP emulator to experience this translation. While the game looked great, there were times when the fog surpassed Silent Hill levels of thickness. Sometimes the camera can go a little crazy during fights with a lot of enemies. All in all, this is one portable RPG that needs to be experienced. It may be a little rough to get running, but well worth the effort. If you still have a PSP collecting dust in a drawer, why not break that bad boy out and experience one of the best RPGs to be found on the console? If you're looking for the English translation patch, I'll have a link in the video's description, and before you ask, no, I'm not going to be able to teach you how to install custom firmware, but rest assured, YouTube is packed to the brim with people who will. Alright guys, that's about it for me, so until next time, I'm Jared. And this has been Avalanche Reviews. Alright guys, thanks for checking out another episode of Avalanche Reviews. If you fancy yourself a PSP gamer, feel free to check out my review of E7 right here. And if you're feeling a little chatty, you can always find me on Facebook and Twitter. But if you choose not to follow me, I can assure you, your chances of seeing me without a shirt on are greatly reduced. So choose wisely.